Yes, hello everyone. Welcome back to WD18, the Watford Fan channel, the first video of the 2021-2022 season. Watford are back in the Premier League. We're back as a Premier League club. We're back as a Premier League fan channel as well. How good does that sound? Today we're joined by none other than Sam Yuko and Elliot Murray. Sam, first off, how you been, mate? It's been a little bit of a break from the channel. We had a couple of weeks off after the scenes of automatic promotion. Everyone was at the pond. We had Swansea on the final day, which feels like a lifetime ago. Isaac Sess and Andre Gray on the score sheet. But how you been keeping, mate?
I think the best way of saying it is local man is pleased. I think you have to put that in there straight away. It's been really good. I think it's actually, as much as I'm already starting to miss Watford, I think the whole roller coaster of what the Championship was it's been good to kind of get a step back from it and seeing the players enjoy their break and what they're getting up to with their families as well. So it's been really good, and summer's nearly here as well, so all good pretty much. Yeah,
summer, the Euros, exams are over. What a time to be alive. Elliot, how's it going, mate? How you been?
Yeah, all good. Like Sam, exams are over. Good to have a break. Good to watch the playoffs and sort of be a bit condescending about it. I mean, you're struggling there, aren't you? Bournemouth, you're having a couple of problems there. It's nice to just be on our high horses and think we don't have to worry about that. We can enjoy it as neutrals. Football's been pretty good recently. It's been a bit sort of up and down over the past year with no fans, but yeah, I've really enjoyed it. And it's all good at the moment, and looking forward to the summer where hopefully England also take home the Euros, which
fingers crossed.
I'm not sure is actually going to happen.
I don't think they will, because it's looking unlikely that Will Hughes, Nathaniel Chalobah will break.
The blonde Iniesta isn't on the way to the Euros. I tell you what, just a really good point Elliot made there about the playoffs. How good is it watching the playoffs, knowing your team's already promoted? I've never enjoyed watching the playoffs as much as that, because you're literally there just like Bournemouth, Barnsley. just sitting, actually, no, fair play. I like Barnsley, but yeah, I was just sitting back going, "This is brilliant. Why can't this be every time we're in the Championship?" Sam, honestly, like watching it, I've never enjoyed watching the playoffs so much when Watford aren't involved, but they are hell, I guess, when Watford are playing.
No, exactly. I think they were really good games as well, not just in the Championship, but in League One as well. I really enjoyed the Sunderland against Lincoln game as well, which was, it's just really good. It's proper football. It's exactly what the Super League isn't. And I know that ship's kind of sailed, but it's just proving over and over again why I'm sticking by it. The Championship is the best league in the world in terms of entertainment. And I think a lot of neutral fans and Premier League fans turned around after watching yesterday's game and went, you know what? I'm going to watch more of this league now. Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. Nick in the comments said local man was very pleased. He's still very pleased. Big up the local man. Before we get into some transfer news, as we said by the title, the main kind of headline is Ashley Fletcher is set to sign for Watford as a free agent on a 5-year deal, according to numerous reports, and the main man, Mr. Adam Leventhal, who said it on The Athletic. So that's pretty much confirmed. We've got a little bit of news now. Elliot's been part of the channel this season. Started with match reports, didn't it, Elliot? And then we had the Vladimir Ivic article. Then he came on to previews, reactions, player interviews. This really has evolved. But Elliot's taken a little bit of a break from the channel with an amazing opportunity that's come up with work. But Elliot, just wanted to say a massive thank you for all your work this season, mate. You've been absolutely brilliant, from the reports, as I said, to the videos. Your progression has been amazing as well, from just doing the articles to being so confident on camera. And you've managed to show everyone your knowledge, which is absolutely unbelievable, because often there's nothing gets me and Sam, but we're sat here like, bloody hell, he knows a lot about the office.
Yeah, I was going to say, one of the things I don't know about, I can hold my hands up. I didn't know anything about half the teams in the Championship, and playing Coventry, and Elliot sat there just going on about what's the guy, the centre mid, Gustavo Hamer. Just talking
about him. Any excuse to talk about him.
And obviously the luck at the Vic as well. And if you look at your first video on the channel, a bit nervous compared to now, and the confidence, it's really good. So it's going to be a shame not having you on the channel for a while.
Yeah, it's going to be a shame, Elliot. And we're not final words, because we'll have you back on the channel soon, won't we? But look, we're seeing it as a little loan break. You've gone out on loan to maybe Udinese, you've done a Delafeu, and there's a potential possibility that he could come back. Is that how you summarise it?
Yeah, I'd hope it works out a little bit better than Delafeu's exit. But in a way. Obviously, we want to talk as much transfer as possible, but I just want to say that I do really appreciate the opportunity to have come on here to sort of give me a chance when I hadn't done anything in front of the camera. And like you say, I was nervous in that first video. I'd only ever written stuff, and even then I'd only been writing for about a year. So really appreciate the opportunity to come and talk Watford. It's a lot of fun. I've watched the channel for years, so then to be on it with how weird it's been with videos from home and not in the stadium and not outside the stadium. But yeah, just really appreciate the opportunity to come on here, and also coming back soon, hopefully, when
Fingers
the break
crossed.
is done.
Yeah, absolutely. We've already said that. Now we're all, those guys are 18, I'm 19. We're going to go for a pint at some point. Maybe moon under the water, Watford spoons, get down there. But Elliot, top man, absolutely. Well, it's an amazing opportunity that you've got, and hopefully it all goes well, mate. And it's been a pleasure having you on the channel. But we'll get straight into some transfer news. Sam, I'm going to be honest, when I first saw the news about Ashley Fletcher, the overall consensus when the news was released was one of negativity. But then I saw a few fans saying, actually, it makes a lot of sense if we do move a couple of players on, particularly in that striker department. What was your initial reaction to that breaking news about Ashley Fletcher joining Watford?
Do you know what? I didn't really make much of it. Not that, I think we've all kind of accepted that he is going to be joining, but it wasn't really like, if we hadn't signed a striker and it was on deadline day that we panic bought Ashley Fletcher, I think I'd be much more worried. But we've got the whole summer ahead of us. And to be honest, I never really was too worried. And on top of that, I look at a lot of fans who have written him off already. And I look back at January where we wrote off Carlos Sanchez of note. And, he came back and was absolutely superb. And, put on record now as well, our best wishes to him because he's departed now out of contract. So I think we have to give him a chance. It is, if that is our only striker signing, I think we will have a kind of a right to be a bit disappointed, but remains to be seen whether he will be good. And I think it does point to the fact that we probably are going to be moving on a couple of players. Yeah,
did it surprise you, Elliot? Because I'm going to be honest, it did surprise me. He'd just been released by Middlesbrough. It's a step up to the Premier League, of course. And, his goal record isn't fantastic and not screaming at a Premier League level. But did you start to understand it a little bit more as time went on, or are you still surprised by the news?
Yeah, obviously we're all delighted to be up in the Premier League, and you think about all the possible signs you can make. I'm seeing people throw out names like Rodrigo de Paul when I think we all know deep down that's never going to happen.
Fingers crossed.
So I think then when you get linked with someone who's been released by Middlesbrough, naturally you do feel a bit of negativity, but there are positives to take from it. It's another striker in there. He does know where the goal is. I know his record hasn't been great in recent years, but he's played in a Middlesbrough side that just cannot find the net. Like, they don't create many chances at all. They don't really produce much for their strikers. They never really get a look in. Assombalonga's had difficulty as well, and Fletcher's not really had a look in this season. I don't think that's his fault that he's not had the chances. So I think it's a good opportunity for a fresh start. He'll have a point to prove. He's still young. He's still 25, and he's not been terrible at any of the clubs he's played for. So there's an opportunity there, and I'm all for it. If he's leading the line and he's the only striker, who's the sole sort of leading striker, then I understand that there might be problems. But I think it's a great opportunity to have a depth option in striker. He's got some all right stats here and there. I think he has certain attributes that will fit this squad, and I think from all accounts, he's a nice guy as well. And we need nice guys in the changing room. That's always an important thing. So there are positives to take from it. I can understand the negativity, but
yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's the thing that I'm seeing with this deal, Sam, is a bit of perspective with it. Because I guess if it was at the end of the window and we're going into our first season back in the Premier League, you're thinking to yourself, Ashley Fletcher probably isn't the signing that we all would have hoped for. But actually, when you look at it, he's 25 years of age. There's still growth there. I don't think we can write him off just yet, as you guys mentioned. But also, he's on a free transfer. He provides decent depth. And is this an indication to you that maybe the likes of either success Andre Gray would move on if he was to join?
Yeah, I think so. I think there are a lot of players in that bracket, and we can't forget as well he's homegrown, and that perhaps indicates that he's going to be one of the British lads who could be moving on. So it'll be interesting to see whether anything does materialise in that. But I mean, we have to remember as well, the window's not even officially open, is it? I don't think it opens until start of July. So it's just
acting early.
Yeah, it's genuinely, it's free. It's it will provide good depth, and perhaps it can push the players we've got currently if it all turns out well. So genuinely, it's nothing to be too worried about, and let's back him now. He should be a Watford player in the next few days. Yeah,
absolutely. And just on that, I think I kind of read up about him because I knew he was at West Ham and I knew he went to Middlesbrough, but he came through at United, decent pedigree, and probably, what would you say, Elliot, worth in the region of maybe 2 to 3 million, around that mark. So if we're getting right now, so if we're getting him on a free transfer, I actually think there's probably more positives than negatives. Is that probably fair?
Yeah, and the 5-year contract is an interesting one. And
yeah, what do you make of that, Elliot?
It would look great if he hits form straight away.
Yeah,
and goals, it would look great. We wrote off Dan Gosling and for saying he had a 3-year contract, and I think we're delighted he's got a 3-year contract now. So it could very well be a positive. That there are positives to signing him. Like you say, came through at Manchester United. He was tipped for big things. He had a couple of low moves. I just think he's been pretty unlucky. He's had some injuries here and there. I think there's an opportunity here, and I think he will have a point to prove back in the Premier League. And he's played for West Ham. West Ham never really have much luck with strikers. Middlesbrough, like I said, strikers never really that prolific. So now he's at a club that maybe suits his needs slightly better. And he's not going to have all the pressure on him either. There are a lot of strikers at the club, and I think it's good to be in and around those options with strikers. Having the likes of Deeney, it looks like he'll be staying on. Gray, we don't know, but having someone like João Pedro as well, who's very talented and plays up front. There's a lot of talent that he'll probably bounce off and work with. So there are a lot of positives to signing him, and I think we need to be a little bit more realistic, because we're not, like I said, we're not going to go out and sign all these ridiculous players. And it's very, very early in the window. We've already signed one player, and the other one's pretty much wrapped up with Ashley Fletcher. We're getting the business done early, which is where Fulham fell short last season. Well, this season, it's just finished. So yeah, good to get the business done early as well.
Yeah, that's the advantage, I guess, of not being in the playoffs, is the fact that we do have that little bit of extra time. And I think it was Cristiano Gioretta who said in the interview of Hive Live, where he said, we're only going to bring in players who are an upgrade on what we already have. Now, it'll be interesting to see who goes out the door, Sam. And that kind of leads on to my next question. We don't want to speculate too much, but if we kind of look at some of the players in that attacking forward line, I think if Ashley Fletcher was going to come in, it's more than likely one striker is going to move on. Out of the ones at the club at the moment, who do you think is most likely to move on this summer at Watford?
It's difficult because I feel like the Premier League as well will see different skill sets in players. I think if I had to say one now, it would be Stipe Peretza. I don't think we saw enough from him last season, as much as we wanted him to play and perhaps have an impact in those games that we struggled. I don't think we can rely on him to kind of throughout the season due to his injury record. I think it will be interesting with Isaac's success what happens with him, because I again don't feel like he did enough, even with his contributions towards the end of last season and that incredible goal on the last day. I don't think he did enough to retain a place in the squad, and I'd actually keep Andre Gray in there. I mean, I think this is going to be a conversation throughout all summer, because he's one of those who always seems to be linked with a move away. Probably be linked with like West Brom now they're relegated. But I personally keep him. I think he seems to be good for the dressing room, and I think he actually does offer more than people actually appreciate. So I would say Peretza, but it'll be interesting to see if anyone else moves on.
Yeah, with Stipe's injury problems, he definitely looks like someone who will probably move on this summer. I don't know who to, but let's have a little look through the comments. Interesting comment here from Charlotte, Elliot. Let's get some good business done early. Just on that, because obviously you know a lot about Brentford and the other of the Championship teams as well. How much of an advantage, I think we maybe don't appreciate it, but particularly for Gioretta coming in his first summer, second summer back at the football club, having that extra period, that extra cushion going into the Premier League. How important is that for Watford? Because I think as we've all seen already, the transfer rumours are racking up and the window hasn't even opened.
Yeah, it's huge. We've always been good with our business. We've always really sort of known what we're doing. We've had a couple of issues. Like when we got relegated, it did feel like almost like a freak accident, with the fact that we didn't quite get the right business done, and we left it a little bit late, and it all sort of, but I think we'll probably never know how that summer really panned out from the inside. But I think this summer is a great opportunity. We were promoted a week before the season was done as well. So not only have we had this time to prepare since the season's done, we've had that extra week too. We've heard about Quadro Bar coming in for, I think, since about sort of early April. The fact that that's only just announced, a lot of positives to take from that. We're being linked with a lot of players already. And like you say, the teams in the playoff final are at a disadvantage, because where we've had what feels like it's probably about a month now since the end of our season, they're playing catch up now. Norwich, of course, will be as comfortable as us, and they're as good as us in terms of how they do their business. But we go up to the Premier League. We'll have the confidence. We're always written off. We're always said that we'll be the ones that get relegated. And it's only once that seemed to materialise in our last stint. So we've got a big summer coming up, a lot of possibilities, a lot of names that are being mentioned that I'm sure we'll get into later in the video. But there's just so much to be positive about, and we've got all that time, as you say, to make those deals. And I think the team's up sort of flirting with relegation this season, as Sam actually put in a tweet earlier. I think they'll have to look sort of behind their shoulders and have a bit of concern now about Watford.
Yeah, absolutely. Sam, one rumour that, as Elliot mentioned, there's been a few rumours bubbling under the surface so far, but one that seems to have continued probably since like last January is Ashley Young making a return to the football club. There hasn't been any real developments on that one since I think we touched on it on that final match preview of the season. How confident are you that we will see a return? He just won Serie A with Inter. He's made it pretty clear that he would want to return to Watford at some point. Whether it's this summer, I think he's 36 now, isn't he, Ashley Young? He still has family who lives in Hertfordshire anyway. So from your perspective, how confident are you that Watford can get a deal over the line?
I was confident up until today when he scored against Udinese. So I don't know if Mr. Pizzo will be too happy. Yeah. No, I do think it will happen. I think probably the reason it's gone quiet is because he's probably been caught up in all the title celebrations. It's not really a time when you're celebrating as a football club to sit down and have contract discussions or whatever. And I think their season only just finished today or next couple of weeks. So I think we probably will start to hear a bit more. But again, as I said before, the window's not even open yet. So it's nothing to start panicking about that we haven't heard much about it. So
would it make sense, Sam? Would it make sense for us to sign him?
Yeah, I think it would. I think it's experience. I think it's a player who wants to be at Watford. I think he's, as you said, he made it clear he wants to be at Watford. And I think he'd offer a different sort of mentality because of the clubs he's been at in his career. It will be a know-how against the big teams and how to pick up points against them. So I think 100% it would make sense. Probably not a 5-year deal like Ashley Fletcher, but 1 year or 2 years, I think would be good.
And I think another thing to add to that, as Sam mentioned, I agree with everything he said there, is his versatility, Ashley Young, Elliot. Because as we know, he could play right back, left mid, right mid, wing back, left wing, right wing, could take free kicks. From your perspective, are you someone who's in favour of this deal? Get it over the line if we can?
Massively. He knows the club. He understands it. Came up through the academy. Seems like a nice guy. Again, need nice guys in the dressing room is absolutely key, in my opinion. And we've got, like I say, he's got the versatility. To be honest, I think if we wanted him to play in midfield, he'd probably do it for us because he cares that much. I don't know if I'd necessarily want him to be in the midfield, but he could probably play anywhere we want him to if we asked him. He's a model professional. He's won a lot of trophies. He's added the Scudetto to his cabinet again. He's got a difficult decision to make. I doubt he's made the decision, to be honest, because he's got the possibility of staying at Inter Milan. I don't know if that's the offer that's on the table, but you'd imagine him being the left back that's been pretty much a mainstay in their squad this season. So he's got the possibility of staying at Milan, Inter rather. Inter Miami is another prospect. They've got David Beckham's owned club. And I'm sure they'll be chucking a lot of money at him for the possibility of going to MLS. And then there's your hometown club, your boyhood club. So I wouldn't want to make that decision at all. I think if I was at Inter Milan, I'd struggle. But yeah, I'd love him at Watford. I think he'd be great, even for a season or two. Just having someone in there with that experience, knows the club, it'd be a huge positive going into the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's have a little look through the comments actually on this one. It's really interesting because I mean, Watford Twitter would absolutely explode if he came back. But Lou Orns in the comments says, I think Ashley Young is better than Sema and can play multiple roles. No brainer. Sam, what do you make of that comment?
Yeah. I don't know about better than Sema because, to be honest, I haven't seen enough of Ashley Young since he left the Premier League. So
from what I've heard, mate, his fitness levels are fantastic. You wouldn't think he's 35 years of age.
I think, I don't want to start comparing him and Sema, but I feel like one thing which is a compliment to Sema and something that we probably lacked in was the fact that we weren't able to rotate him out because I don't know whether we had the depth in that position or whether we were reluctant to. And I think having Ashley Young in there will allow us to kind of engage in switching up that position much more. And I feel like they both offer different things. But yeah, 100%. I feel like it would be really, really good options to have as a Premier League club. And I mean, we'll probably talk about a bit more about this soon in probably a bigger season preview. But as Elliot said, with I think we got such a good opportunity next year, not only to stay up, but to make a real impact in the league because of how poor the teams are and the transition seasons that teams are going to be going through. So I think that a signing like that would really help us do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Charlotte in the comments says, yeah, bring back Ashley Young, Watford legend, amass valuable experience and can fill all sorts of gaps. I think his versatility is something that I'd be massively, I'm a big fan of. And also the fact he's a free kick taker. I mean,
yeah,
I know.
I just thought of was
not that free kicks, Elliot.
Yeah, not that free
kick. But I'm thinking when you get promoted, you've got to sort of be, you've got to be obviously more defensive than in the Championship because you're the big fish in the small pond, and now you're the small fish in a pretty massive pond. So we're going to have to play more defensively. We're going to have to play with less of the ball. So it's going to be interesting. We could have Ken Semmer, who's a sort of someone who can play left wing back, and we've got Ashley Young, who can also play as a wing back or even as a left back or right back. So if at any point we do just really want to defend for our lives, you take off Sai, bring on Ashley Young. So you've got Semmer, who will basically be a left wing back, and you've got Young, who will basically be a right wing back. You could then have two fullbacks behind them, another two defenders, and you could pretty much part the bus against any team in the league. It's pretty defensive style we could approach with. So yeah, it's a great opportunity for us to bring someone like that back in, because I think without the links of his playing days with us back in sort of 2006, we wouldn't be able to attract a player of that caliber. So it's great that we have that opportunity, and I think we should absolutely snap it up. Well,
that's a fantastic point. If we bring in Young, then it says that Ashley Young has joined Watford, hence other players that have similar ability will be like, okay, we'll come to Watford. I guess it's that marquee signing as well, Sam, from our perspective, that it could have that much of an impact in terms of Watford's appeal, even further to these sort of players as well.
Yeah. I mean, there's kind of a misconception that it always has to be the price tag that kind of acts as your marquee signing. But I feel like just the name Ashley Young, it's a household name in English football pretty much. And, now probably in Italy as well with Inter Milan winning the league. So I feel like that could be a big signing for us in terms of attracting other players. He's probably got good contacts if he wants to bring any of his, bring Lukaku over to Watford.
Laura Martinez, get him over, mate. Lead the line next season. We can maybe get him for a 5-10.
Just jump on the Udinese flight when half of their team.
That Barea guy, Nicolo Barea, get him in.
Yeah.
He'll be great next to
yeah. We got Dan Backman, it's all right, and we have Alto over Skriniar as well.
All there. Hakimi, do we need? Nah, Kiko. That's cool. Go on, mate. Sorry.
I was saying, definitely it's a good signing. I think it will happen. Going back to that first question, and I think it's just a matter of time.
Fingers crossed. Moving on to two rumours that, one in particular gathered pace in Scotland. Lewis Ferguson from Aberdeen, 21-year-old midfielder. He handed in a transfer request after Watford reportedly put in a bid. I think it was 1.2 million rising to 2 mil. Elliot, someone who first of all, a player that I didn't think we'd be linked with from the Scottish League. Watford haven't notoriously dipped into that market recently. What do you put that down to? The fact that we've been linked with Lewis Ferguson and also Josh Doig, the 18-year-old left back from Hibernian.
Well, yeah, they're two names that seem to be quite popular in Scotland. Good young players that have been touted for some big clubs. I know Josh Doig is linked with AC Milan, which is an interesting one. But Lewis Ferguson, the fact that he's handed in a transfer request sort of outlines his desires to play in the Premier League, play for Watford, and that's obviously great from Watford's perspective that someone is that desperate to play for the club that they're willing to pretty much sever ties with their current club and the club that they've sort of come through with. So I think that's a positive for us. He seems pretty highly regarded. I know Josh Doig as well. I know we're mainly talking about Ferguson here, but I know Doig won Scottish Writers' Young Player of the Year or something like that. I'm not too familiar with either of them, but little things like that sort of stand out. And they seem like really good prospects. And I think there's no harm in bringing them in. I don't think necessarily they would be instant starters, but they seem to have quite a lot of potential. Be good in and around the squad, maybe develop them, have them around the first team, and then maybe towards the end of the season and next season, they'll be more sort of in the first team, more in the starting 11, hopefully. There's no depth at left back at the moment with Ashraf Lazar looking set to be released. So Adam Messina is pretty much our only option there. So Josh Doig would be great. And then midfield has a little bit more depth, but I think there's no harm in adding another name to that list. And Lewis Ferguson, like I say, seems like a good young player. And again, there's no harm in bringing him in and seeing what he can do.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And I think the big thing for me, Sam, is we're being linked with these players, as Elliot mentioned, who are highly regarded and have a lot of potential as well for a snippet of the price. And I saw your tweet actually about this. You linked it in with Brexit. Do you want to maybe just elaborate on what you kind of spotted from Watford being linked with these Scottish players in the SPFL?
Yeah, so I'm no expert in the transfer market, but I was just looking at kind of trends, not just from Watford, but from other clubs as well, who've now partnered with kind of lower league clubs, is that because of Brexit and leaving the EU and COVID, pandemic, finances generally, I feel like Watford now will be, instead of looking at these kind of João Pedro sort of players, the 16, 17-year-olds out in Brazil and Chile and those sort of places, I feel like we are going to be looking at more around the UK, in Scotland and Wales, in Northern Ireland. So I feel it wouldn't shock me if we see at least 3 or 4 players come in from there, not necessarily just for the first team, but for the academy to come through as well. So I think that just because of the way the world is at the moment, at least for the foreseeable future, I think we will be seeing more and more deals like that. So yeah, I just feel like that's going to be a trend that we see this summer, not just with Watford, but with a lot of clubs.
I have to admit, Sam, I'm the same as Elliot. I haven't seen a lot of these 2 players, but maybe just going off on their positions in terms of Ferguson's a midfielder and Doig's a left back. Are those 2 positions, as Elliot mentioned, particularly a left back that we need to sort out and kind of sort this summer really?
Yeah, left back's the one. Left back is so important because I feel like, I know you mentioned depth for Adam Messina, but I feel like we might need an upgrade on Adam Messina as well. I know it's mental saying that considering he got into the Championship team of the season and he was very, very good for large parts of it. But I just get a couple of times where he has lapses of concentration that I don't know if we can rely on him in the Premier League for that. So I feel like we do need an upgrade there. So I don't know whether this new guy will be of any use to start next season, but perhaps. And centre mid, I feel like we are really strong in that area anyway. But depth can't hurt, and I think striker is the one though. I know that wasn't part of the question, but we really do need a striker who's going to get us 12 to 15 goals next season.
I think it's very dependent, isn't it, on what formation Xisco Munoz opts for next season. Now, I think it'd probably be unlikely that we go for a 4-3-3. It'd be pretty bold of him. But what we've seen maybe under Kike was the 4-4-2, very narrow. Javi was the same as well. 4-2-3-1, those kind of compact formations. I think that obviously will affect our transfer business this summer. And I also think potentially with Adam Messina, you could even play him as a third centre-back, as maybe a left centre-back of a 3. So that does open it up. But Elliot, from your perspective, is there positions that are screaming out to you that Watford need to sign a player this summer? And what positions in particular have you picked out?
I think left back is the one. I think even if we get in Josh Doig, it'd be great to have 3. I think 3 is perfect. Right back, we seem pretty fine. Obviously, Ashley Young would make that 3 at left back if we consider him a left back, and he'd obviously be the cover for right back as well. So we're all good in the full back department there. Again, it would be good to get another name in midfield. I know we're talking about marquee signings, we're saying Ashley Young would be, but I'd like our sort of big-ish signing to be a midfielder. I think that'd be great. But then, of course, we can't forget striker, and we do need someone that can get the goals consistently. Whether a pre-season will help the likes of João Pedro, Troy Deeney, Andre Gray, Ashley Fletcher, and
it's
so
Nigalo,
on.
It's Nigalo-esque sort of player we need in the first season, where he got 15 goals. That's the sort.
Even if he's a flash in the pan, even if he's just for this season, then hopefully that
like a Michu at Swansea, just a one-season wonder.
Yeah.
Barclays.
Not high expectations, just steer us to Europa League and that'll be fine. But
sorry, just to jump in there, potentially Cucho could be coming back this summer. You never know. And I know that
it's been difficult for him because he's played in a Getafe side that they've struggled. They've had a manager that's there for a long time, and he had a great sort of run with them, but it's starting to get stale there. They barely score any goals. They brought in Takefusa Kubo on loan, who's meant to be one of the next big things on loan from Real Madrid, and he hasn't performed. Cucho's not really had much of a chance. He's had a lot of injuries. He's been pushed out to the right. He's been pushed out to the left. And when he's played up front, he hasn't really gotten the goals. So I think that's more Getafe's fault, hopefully, than Cucho's. So maybe he'll come back, have a pre-season, regain his fitness, and he'll be great for us, and he'll get a hatful of goals, because it feels like we've been saying for years now that this is the season Cucho Hernandez will be in a Watford shirt and he'll actually have a full pre-season with us. But actually, this is the season now where we're going to see Cucho Hernandez in a Watford shirt, and I just hope he thrives, and I hope he performs.
It's a lot of pressure, though, isn't it? I think
I wouldn't rely on it, particularly with the injuries. I'm all for having Cucho at Watford, but or even to start, I just don't feel like he's going to be that striker who's going to hit the ground running.
Yeah, and also with Zhao, I mean, it's a lot of pressure on him. And I think you're right in that respect, Sam, that we do need to bring in someone who just takes the pressure off. And potentially, might be the season for Troy to get back. You mentioned in that interview that these injuries are starting to heal up now. He's feeling, back to his best, and these injuries are kind of clearing up. So if he can step up this season, that'd be absolutely huge. But yeah, the striker department is one that I'm looking out for. I think, Sam, the other one, as Elliot mentioned, was the midfielder. Now, I think we need a ball carrier, maybe a progressive midfielder in there. I think the only one at the minute we have is probably Philip Zinkernagel, who can actually drive with the ball from midfield. And that's nothing against the other guys, but he seems the only one who can really draw players in. I think
he's gonna thrive in the Premier League, Philip Zinkernagel. I think there's the two of them, two players who a lot of fans kind of spoke about. I think will improve a lot. And this is just, I know I spoke about one of them is William Troost-Ekong as well, who I know I said a lot of the time is a liability. I feel like he's gonna thrive in the Premier League along with Philip Zinkernagel. I feel like with Troost-Ekong, the fact that there's going to be less pressure on us having the ball and having possession, means that he's not going to have to display his passing ability, which quite frankly wasn't great at times last season. So, and blocking wise, defensively, he was superb. So I feel like he's going to thrive in the Premier League in those games where we're not going to have that much of the ball. And also Philip Zinkernagel as well. I feel like he's going to have more time on the ball. He's not going to get clattered whenever he touches the ball. And I just feel like it's going to be the making of him.
I think that pre-season is going to be huge because Zinkernagel's not had a rest in about 2 years at this point. You've got a lot of players that have had international duty this season and have barely had a rest either. Hopefully they're having that now. You've got Xisco Munoz is going to have the opportunity to bed in his style even more. He's not had much time on the training pitch, which again is a testament to how well we've done this season. It's incredible that he's managed to get us up despite the troubles that we've had and the problems that we've faced, and we've overcome that. So I think the pre-season will be massive for players like Philip Zinkernagel to get used to the style pre-season the pre-season matches in particular, getting used to. I think he said when he came in that the problems were he often didn't know where to find the players and his teammates didn't know where to find him. So I think pre-season is perfect for that. They'll know exactly where he is, and it'll be a bit more chemistry in there. And yeah, I think it'll be a huge pre-season. We'll have, like you say, William Troost-Ekong, he has his own analyst. I remember Adam Leventhal did a fantastic article in The Athletic on him working with his analyst. They'll look at where the problems were this season and he'll improve that over the summer, and then he'll be hopefully an even better player next season. So we've got a lot to look forward to over these summer months, and I just love pre-season because you never know who we're going to come up against. You see the tweets come out and it's like, oh, we're going to be playing, and then there's a really random. I remember when we played Ajax, it was like, we're playing flipping Ajax.
I think we beat them, didn't we? I think we lost 2-1, 2-1. I can't remember.
Was that the season? That was the season when they got knocked out by Spurs, wasn't it?
Yeah, they got to Champions League final.
Unbelievable. And Watford started that journey.
I feel like pre-season is going to be really important though, because a lot of players have spoken about it, particularly Troy, and the importance of having a full pre-season. And a lot of these players as well, Troost-Ekong join up with the squad late, Zinkernagel join it in January, and it's going to be really important for us to get our business done as early as possible and give the players as long as possible to play in friendlies, training, have team bonding sessions, whatever they are, and just be ready for the season properly. Because as we saw with Fulham this season, do the business too late, players don't have a full pre-season, you get relegated, and that's what we simply have to avoid.
And too many loan players as well.
Too many loans.
I mean, it was like
I think it was playoffs as well, and they had about a month and a half, maybe 2 months to prepare for the new season. So bits of it were their fault, but also they had to rush. We don't have to rush. We've got the freedom to sort of take our time with this, be methodical and work things out in the best way we can. I think it came to our benefit last season that it was a quick turnover because we could quickly recover from relegation and go straight back up. But it's great now that we've got all this time to work things out, make the right signings, sit down with the board or sit down with whoever and have these conversations, and let players like Dan Gosling, who's had to move house and he's had to likely move his family, or even worse if his family is still in Bournemouth, he's got the time now to work things out like that and move his family up, and just for everyone to be a bit more settled, have a squad that is happy. And I think it's a really good opportunity now for going into the new season to have everyone refreshed and ready for the new season.
Perfect way to wrap it up. Lads, it's been an absolute pleasure. Elliot, it's been a pleasure. Thank you to everyone who watched today. We've got plenty more videos on the way. As the guy said, we've got pre-season coming up. We'll try, if we can find a stream to watch it, do maybe some watch-alongs for these pre-season games. As Elliot said, we drink in the pre-season content, transfer rumours. We've got it all here on WD18. So make sure you do get involved. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Please do leave a like if you enjoyed this transfer video. We'll have plenty more coming up. But yeah, if you do enjoy them, please do leave a like. Comment down below your thoughts. Sam, Elliot, it's been a pleasure. We'll see you very soon. Up the Hornets.